In this video, I want to go through yet another corporate issuers CFA Level 1 exam question, or CFA Level 1 exam style question on choosing between investment projects, but this time the projects are going to be independent rather than mutually exclusive, which is what I covered in the previous one. So if this is something you want to get right, keep watching and let's get solving. This is the question that I want us to have a go at. The CFO of Woodhull Ventures may select between two investment projects with the following cash flow characteristics. You've got the cash outlays for each one. The cost of capital relevant to undertaking either project is 10% if projects A and B are independent, meaning that they can be basically taken on at the same time. The CFO should, and we've got three possibilities: reject and accept both, or accept one and reject the second one. Okay, as you can probably tell, this is another question where we'll get to use the CF worksheet, the cash flow worksheet on your calculator. So let's fire, so take your calculator, let's fire them up and input the data. Okay, cash flow worksheet, clear it, so second, followed by CEC, so clear worksheet. And let's input the data for the first one. So 20,000 followed by the plus minus C to make it negative, and then enter for your calculator to see that you've confirmed the input. And now C01 is going to be 9,000, confirm that. But because the 9,000 is repeated 3 times in a row, this will give us the opportunity to use, when we press the down arrow once again, the frequency setting for that first cash flow. And I'm going to tell the calculator, hey, this gets repeated 3 times, not the default once. And this should save me the need to go and then repeat this for cash CO2 and CO3, which is where this function comes in handy. Okay, crossover. This is confirmed. Okay, crossover to NPV, provide the discount rate or the cost of capital that was supposed to be 10%. Enter. Down arrow once again, compute, and I can see 2,381.6. So for project A, the NPV is going to be 2,382, roughly. Okay, let's see what the IRR is. Although, to be honest, we don't really need it. The decisions are going to be based purely on NPV. And as you saw in the previous question for mutually exclusive projects, I chose between them on the basis of NPV only, ignoring IRR as a criterion. So I just want to go to the IRR function and press compute to see what it is. It, as you can see, is 16.6%. Let's write this down, though it's not really needed as such. It's higher than 10%, the required rate of return or the cost of capital. So this project definitely generates a return which is higher than the cost of capital. We knew that from the fact that it has a positive NPV anyway. Let's do the same for project B. Because its cash flows are not so even, we're not going to be able to use that same shortcut. So go to CF, press second, followed by CEC or clear work, and, let's input this data very quickly. 20,000 negative, enter for CF0. Down arrow once, that's going to be 0. Press enter, but do press the enter because otherwise your calculator may not be quite sure. If it doesn't display the equals sign, it hasn't accepted the input yet. So that's C02, 14,000, enter, and twice the down arrow, 15,000, enter. Okay, let's review if everything's fine, including that C01 equal to 0. Good. Let's go to NPV, make this 10 again, so enter. And compute NPV once again. This is another positive result, and it is equal to 2,840 roughly. Brilliant. And IRR for this one is going to be, let's have a look. Well, it should be higher. No, it's actually a little bit lower. Look at this. It's 16%. Okay, cool. So 16% for this one. Now, the NPV and IRR measures are both suggesting that we should be accepting the projects. Project A has a positive NPV, Project B has a positive NPV, brilliant, and they both have IRRs, internal rates of return, which are higher than the cost of capital. So the question is, what should you go for? Well, if these were projects that were mutually exclusive, right, which they're not, you would go for the project with the higher NPV. Even though A has a higher IRR, you would still go for the one that has the higher NPV. But because these projects are independent, meaning they can be done at the same time, you simply choose them both. So you choose projects that have a positive NPV. So accept or take on all projects, assuming you've got the budget, with a positive NPV because they both add value. So investing in them makes sense. So they both create value. Now, looking back at the answers, accept both projects is synonymous with choosing answer B.